Hi there, it's Dr. Coates. This one does not actually have a transcript because I don't plan on saying all that much. Um, and I'm not actually sure how many people are watching these videos anyway, so perhaps this will get my stats to go up a little bit on YouTube. It's nice to see you, I suppose, and I hope that you're finding this week's activity in the Fake Poets round illuminating and insightful. Um, I'd like to encourage you to keep on going with the Fake Poets because I was thinking about what else I could add to what I had said on Tuesday. And I feel as though if I just kind of lay off and allow you a little bit more time to, it's this hand. Okay, I have some, it's ink. Sorry about that. If I lay off on the lecture a little bit and sort of task you with responding to each other a little bit more in the Fake Poets Twitter rounds, that would be really helpful. Because first of all, with the Fake Poets round, there are going to be like 5 or 6 different conversations going, and instead of the previous 2 weeks of this module where it was just one poem per week, that would allow us all to have a little bit more practice with these poems that by and large are fairly comprehensible, except for unless you're thinking about it in sort of the sort of philosophical lines that I've been outlining on Tuesday. To put it in the terms of Peter Pan, what would the world be like without Captain Hook? You then extend that question to also what would the world be like without Peter Pan, or any of the characters who are either telling the story or reading the story. There are some books that are that sort of go into this in some of the other disciplines. For example, I can't remember the name of the book. I'm sorry. There's one about environmental science, about how long it would take the environment to recover from what it looks like right now if the human species were to be just suddenly die. And like how long would it take for sidewalks to be reclaimed by grass, or for some of the buildings to come down? How long until there is no longer any trace of civilization? That is the sort of task that a post-humanist puts on him or herself, to try to reimagine what life would be like if we didn't always assume that human beings were the center of the cosmos. It's an exceedingly hard thing to do in poetry because everything that we do as we're writing or speaking a poem is sort of filtered through the consciousness of that of the speaker. So even if you try to describe reality without privileging that which makes reality important to you, which is yourself, your identity, even if you try to do that objectively, you're still going to be organizing things in a certain way. You say some things first, some things second, sometimes some things third, and even if you're not doing it overtly, there is still some sort of ordering and hierarchizing that you are doing because you are who you are. And so trying to imagine yourself as not yourself is, in many ways, a philosophical paradox. Apart from that, I'm sure every one of you has thought about, about death, either because someone you loved has died, or like grandparents or great-grandparents have passed away. This is just one of those things that, because we are alive, but we don't stay forever alive, keep coming back to haunt us. So I obviously I don't need to talk to you about that, or give you too much of my own personal experience to augment what you've already got. But it is worth knowing that it is something that poets have grappled with as well. And the ones that we read for this week, I wanted to honor because they are so sort of forthright and sincere about the way that they're trying to imagine how life continues, either after someone whom you have lost has departed, and you're trying to reconstruct life without them, to try to fill that gaping hole that they left with their passing, or to try to imagine what life will be like once you are gone. A considerably more difficult task, I should think. The reason why this week is here in the syllabus, just to make this absolutely clear, is that next week, when we start the 5th and final module of this course, we'll be talking about the so-called concretist poems, or language poetry. Poems which are all about the way that they look on the page, and which I think, therefore, are less about a sort of individual, intimate expression of a poetic voice. Whether that's a character that is created within a poem by a poet, or the poet ostensibly speaking to us, him or herself. Right? This is just words on a page. And so there's a way in which the language poetry is very much in this sort of postmodernist, or what I've been calling the post-humanist turn, an attempt to get outside of the self and to try to just depict what life would be like without an organizing identity or selfhood putting it all together. It's very difficult to construct a persona behind a language poem or a concretist poem, as I'll explain next week and the week after. Very difficult to do that, in part because we're given so little to go on. We simply have words arranged on a page. And there still is that, you can impute something behind why some of these letters were arranged here, or why this sort of visual configuration has been put together, in the same way that you can always know something about a painter based on the way that they're depicting a landscape. But it is a considerably different activity than reading many of the poems that we've done so far. And so that's the bridge I wished to build with this lecture. I've decided to do it in a sort of extemporaneous way. But if you're having trouble with this sort of concept of what the poems are trying to do, then I encourage you either to look back at the lecture from Tuesday, or, and this is my preference, to engage more with those fake poet, the students leading the fake poet round. Because first of all, not to engage with them is rude, and second of all, to engage only with them on Saturday after the activity is supposedly concluded gives them, much less time to actually respond to you as they're supposed to do. So if you're being a mensch, then you're going to respond during the duration of the activity, rather than forcing them to reschedule some of the things that they do on the weekend in order to respectfully respond to what you've said. If it were me, I probably wouldn't do it, because I wouldn't need to. But we'll see what happens. Okay. One last thing, I also wanted to alert you that, first of all, the Module 4 illustration is due this Sunday. If this module schedule had been as with every other module, then it would have been due last weekend. But I remember I extended it for this weekend. Don't forget to do that. The last time I checked in, which I believe was on Monday, there were 3 groups that had something going, but it was mostly in the notes section. I'm expecting that you're going to be able, as a group, to come up with quite a bit, more than any of you might have said individually. So perhaps not to the length of one of the exam essay questions, but certainly more than simply a paragraph, because I'd like some of the input that you're doing in the comments to appear. I mean, it shouldn't just be something where one person says 2 sentences and then the group has concluded that that's all that they can offer. Now, of course, the notes at the bottom on that illustration wiki will also let me know what your thinking was, but as a group, you should be able to say quite a bit about the relationship between the original painting or photograph and the ekphrastic poem that followed it. All right. Having said that, for Module 5, things will be different yet again, and the reason for that is because on the syllabus, if you go back and look at it, it says that there will be a voluntary group project, which is an illustration / annotation. Okay, and I just want you to know that that is going to replace the sort of normal week 2 of the module illustration wiki project. Also, the groups will not be randomly assigned, but they will be voluntarily entered into. So you can expect very soon to be asked to join a voluntary group. It'll be no more than 5 people, so that we'll have 5 of these projects. But I would like you to start thinking about who you might want to be in one of these groups with. The link is not open yet, so I can't necessarily have you sign up for those yet. And it won't be available until Module 5 is unlocked. But I did want you to know, just be thinking about it. Like, who on Twitter engages with things in the way that you do? Like, either you find some sort of similarity between the responses that you've come up with and the responses that they come up with, or who seems to have more or less the same sort of either schedule, so that you feel like you might be able to work something out with them because you both normally post on Saturdays, or you and this other person tend to do things early. If that's true, then get together, because it'll be a much less frustrating experience for you. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that it's going to be, this is the only one of the wikis that has illustration projects which has a sort of an extra participatory grade quotient. And the idea is that all of these illustration projects that we've been doing have been leading up to this last module, when I'm turning you loose, letting you come into groups on your own, and illustrating a poem and explaining the illustrations. So the theory is that everything has been training you to be able to do this very, very well by the end of the term. So I hope you agree with that. You will have copious instructions about what to do as soon as Module 5 has been unlocked. I just wanted to give you this brief, not a warning, but a brief preview of coming attractions, so that you would be able to look out for that and then respond accordingly when you see it. Apart from that, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I look forward to the University of Michigan getting into the finals. I think the game is at 8:20 on Saturday evening. I'm looking very much forward to that. I hope you are too, especially now that VCU is out of it. I hope that the healing has started. Anyway, have a great day. Thank you very much, and I will be seeing you soon.